what that one thing is that's going to skyrocket your sales in your business without like having to recreate a whole like sales strategy or a pipeline or a funnel. It's literally like one change, and implementing this, you'll build confidence in the people who work with you, you'll become an authority, and you're going to get more people saying yes.
Welcome to Swift Coaches Academy, a podcast dedicated to bringing health and wellness professionals the uncensored truth behind what it really takes to succeed in the health industry with me, your host, Xenia Wood. As an accredited exercise physiologist and business owner for almost a decade, I'm on a mission to transform the lives of ambitious health professionals like you who want more and are ready to take action to create incredible impact in your careers and unlock financial freedom in your business. So join me as I speak candidly with industry leaders about the struggles and successes from within the trenches through thought-provoking conversations.
Today, I wanted to start with a little life update. Yesterday, I went and met another business owner who owns literally a handful of gyms in Brisbane. And we got talking about the managers that she has at her gyms and what they need and how I could potentially support them. And it got me thinking about, gym managers and also the personal trainers working in these facilities. And we were speaking to how to create partnerships and how to get better at sales and all the things that come with being, a new or a small business owner. And it's made me think about the one thing that we get all of our business students to do that is like a super easy thing once you nail it to integrate into your sales training, or rather like your selling process. And this is guaranteed to skyrocket your sales. And I'm not saying that as like some clickbaity thing because I've actually just done it. I've been doing it for about 3 years. And I've also had a lot of my students who have decided to implement this too on my recommendation and have got great results from it. And I wanted to talk to you today about what that one thing is that's going to skyrocket your sales in your business without like having to recreate a whole like sales strategy or a pipeline or a funnel. It's literally like one change, and implementing this, you'll build confidence in the people who work with you, you'll become an authority, and you're going to get more people saying yes. So before I dive into what that is, I just wanted to explain why I feel like this is so important, because I've had several people who have since worked with me who have mentioned that if it wasn't for me including this one thing, they actually probably wouldn't have signed up. And that wasn't because they didn't have confidence in me or in what I was doing, but it was because it instilled even further or like greater confidence in them to be able to take action, knowing that there was literally no risk in them doing that. I calculated, and literally from one person signing up from this thing that we used 2 years ago, she has now spent $33,569 with us in just the span of 2 years because of this one thing that I implemented. You'll also hear Chloe Walker from episode 49 talk about this exact strategy when she talks about business mentoring and what she's doing. So you can see and listen to her story as well. And I also find that this strategy is great for people who are nervous to sign up with you, who've potentially tried other options and they haven't gotten results before. And it's not that they don't trust you, but there's just a general lack of trust in the industry or in their ability to even get results. And it's also for people, or clients rather, who are very willing to take action, but maybe have had some bad experiences with other people in your profession before. So say you're a personal trainer, they've had personal trainers who've you said, hey, yeah, we'll get you all those results that you want, like the 10 kilo weight loss in 10 weeks, and then it hasn't happened. And so they feel quite let down by the industry. So I wanted to start this with a story to explain what this thing is. And this came up from having a conversation with one of our business students who is in our Scale, our level 2 program. And he was looking at paid marketing and basically sort of had this blanket statement and said like marketing sucks, and you can't trust marketers, and they promise you the world and they don't deliver anything, and they just take your money, and like I'm not going to ever use marketers again. And I said, whoa, hang on. Like, if you go on one bad date with a girl, like, are you going to never go on dates again with girls? Like, are you just done with dating, or are you just done with women in general? And the reason that I bring this up is because I think sometimes we have these really big blanket statements or generalizations based on frustration, which may be warranted in terms of having multiple challenging situations where the outcome that was maybe promised wasn't delivered upon. And so instead of blanket statement and saying marketers are bad or they don't get us results, and so I'm never using a marketer again, maybe it's looking at this from a different perspective and going, okay, well, what did I actually want out of this, right? Like, if you're going on a date, what do you want out of the date? Is it to just have a good time? Is it to potentially find the love of your life? Is it to have a one night stand? Like, whatever that is for you, knowing and having intentions around the outcome that you're after and being able to approach it with the lens that you're looking for, I think is really helpful. And so in this example of the marketer, I sort of said, okay, well, what outcomes did you want, and what were the promises that were made, and how were they justified, or how did they commit to them? Like, was there any agreement in place where they said, we will do this and these are our guarantees, or something like that, right? Because I think that there is a lack of trust with marketers, but I also think that this can come with health professionals as well, and coaches, because everyone can sort of like promise the world, and then like there's no real risk or like reason for us to actually perform, like especially if we're working in a session by session model, and let's say you want to go to the physio to get some rehab. They literally take your money for the time that you're there most of the time for that one session. And there's no guarantee that they're actually going to give you, a pain-free body, or they're going to give you the answers that you want. It's kind of come in and I'll see what I can do. And you're paying for my expertise and my time. But, one person's expertise and time versus another as a physiotherapist could be starkly different. And so I think that not only that marketing example, but with health professionals in general, I think that if we are able to stand out using this one thing, and this involves us having skin in the game and actually like making good on our promises, then we are going to have a whole lot of confidence built from the people that we work with, but also a lot of integrity. And it's going to make sure that we can actually get people the results that they're after. Because I think that one of the challenges in health is, sure, you can't necessarily promise someone's going to be pain-free in one session. Another problem, I believe, with the session by session model, and why we do programs or commitments or recurring setups with our clients, so we can actually guarantee something, because one session is really not going to be able to get a whole lot of a result unless you're, say, like a dentist and you're doing the surgery and it's like a one and done thing, right? In the health industry, these are typically like long-term habit changes. They take a while. You're not going to just get jacked from going to the gym once, and we all know that. So I think us having skin in the game as health professionals to make good on our promises and to get results is really, really important. But it's also something that I find that health professionals are a little scared or nervous to do, because like I said, it is hard to guarantee like pain-free, for example. So I want to talk to you about what the one thing is now, the options that you have, and then what I use in my businesses. So we want to make it easy for our clients to say yes. So what we want, the one thing that we want to add is a risk reversal, or also called a guarantee. And the reason that this is the thing that I find that is so influential and impactful in people's decision making to work with us is because if you have a guarantee and you actually like stick to that and you're able to execute on it, then people feel so much more comfortable and confident in saying yes, because they're not saying yes to like a fingers crossed promise. They're saying yes because you are backing yourself to say, hey, if we don't make good on our promise, we'll, do something for you. And we're going to talk about what that is today. So there are actually 4 types of guarantees, and I'm going to run through all of them, what they're good for, what they're not so good for, and which one that we use in our businesses. So the first one is called an unconditional guarantee. So this basically means that if at any time, for any reason, anyone just wants their money back, no questions asked, no problems, you just do that. This is great for when people get a result so good that they feel indebted to you, right? It's also great for when people don't have to put in any hard work to achieve the result. And it's also good when it's a scalable product or service which involves minimal time or effort from you. Now, those things don't sound like things that we as health service businesses do very often. But for example, an unconditional guarantee could be when you are potentially giving someone a book, right? Like if you're in the bookstore and you say, if you don't, if you're not 100% satisfied with this, because you're handing that physically to them, they don't have to, if they receive the book, let's say, that could be that if you just want your money back, could be if they've read it or not read it, doesn't matter. But if you believe that there's a ton of value in that, minimal time and effort because you've written it once and then it just gets sent out. And for, quite a small price point, having one person turn around and say, oh, I don't want this, or, I didn't get my value out of it, can be great feedback as well. But ideally, that book has so much knowledge in it that they feel indebted to you and they definitely don't want to return the book even after they've read it. It's not so great. An unconditional guarantee is not so great for when you have to put in time, effort, or any resources to deliver on the product or service. It's also not great when you're not 100% certain that everyone who signs up will get the result. Potentially a better version rather than a book for an unconditional guarantee could be like an apple, right? Like if someone got an apple that was bruised or something like that, then you'd want them to be able to return it because that wouldn't be a fair exchange. But usually you buy an apple, it gets handed over the counter to you. There's no real effort required to do that transaction, and they receive the entire thing then and there. So when you're not 100% certain everyone who signs up or everyone who purchases the thing is going to get the result, then that's going to make it quite challenging for you. So as health-based businesses, we can see that this is probably not the best idea in terms of making something unconditional, because they don't have to show up, they don't have to put in any effort, and they could still turn around and just for whatever reason be like, nah, I just want my money back, even after they've received the service. The next one is a satisfaction guarantee. So this is basically saying if you're not satisfied with the service, just let us know and we'll refund you. The difference between this and unconditional is unconditional, they don't have to give a reason, they don't have to tell you that they didn't like it. They can just say, I want a refund. This could also be something that's time-based, a satisfaction guarantee. So it could be if for whatever reason within your first 7 days you don't love it, then we'll refund it or something like that. This is great for when you want to get feedback, for when customers are not satisfied. And it's also great if you create rules, like I mentioned before, you might see when you walk into a massage parlor, I've seen this before, it says, if you're not satisfied with anything, just let us know within the first 10 minutes of your service and we'll refund you and you can walk away. So you've only given them 10 minutes of a service rather than the whole, say, 60 minutes. And so that can be a great way to get that instant feedback from people early. And they're also therefore not having to do the full service before the refund occurs. It's also great for people who are hesitant or to be utilized as a bit of like a trial. And a satisfaction guarantee is not so great for people who may not be able to have enough time to experience the results. So let's say that it is exercise and you say, if within the first 30 minutes of your first session you don't love it, we'll refund it. You could have that in place theoretically. However, if you're trying to get someone, a certain amount of weight loss or rehabilitate them or improve their performance, we know that that's not going to happen in 30 minutes. And so it is going to take a little bit longer. And so therefore it's going to be a little harder if the outcome that you want is a bit more long-term to have that satisfaction guarantee. What it does allow, though, is for them to decide for no real reason that they didn't like it. You may want to, have a satisfaction, but if they just turn around and say, oh, I just didn't like it, just wasn't for me, then that's a reason why a satisfaction guarantee is not so great. However, do you want people who are feeling that way working with you? Probably not anyway. The other reason why it's not so great, a satisfaction guarantee, is that when there is a high demand of your time or an extended duration required before they receive the money back. So the example is if there's more than one session or 1 hour of your time, let's say that, you say within the first 8 weeks, if you just don't love it, will refund it, and you've done, let's say, 8 hours with them, and then they want all of that money back. And that's a lot of time, effort, energy, and potentially money and resources that you've invested in this person for them to ask for the whole 8 weeks back. So we actually do use satisfaction guarantees within our service. And it's typically, if you're not happy with that initial assessment and you don't feel like you got your money's worth, then we will refund it. So we usually do that just with the first session so that they can feel confident and comfortable to take that first step. Alrighty. Number 3, in terms of our guarantees, I call this the not a guarantee guarantee. So this is one where we say that it's so damn good that we just don't give guarantees. So this can be great for when that product or service is fully handed over immediately and you get an instant result. So this could be something like a tattoo artist, because it's quite hard to, take off a tattoo without laser. It's a long process. But the product or the whole service is usually delivered in that moment or in that instance. And so therefore you say, we're so good that we don't give guarantees because we're so confident that you're going to love it. And this can actually work really well because it gives clients and customers confidence going, wow, like if they don't offer guarantees, it must be so good because no one would want their money back. It's not so great, and a not a guarantee is not so great for pretty much anything else, because there is that need to want to hand it over immediately, and having a guarantee can be really, really valuable in a lot of instances. So why even bother with like the not a guarantee? It does add that level of conviction in what you're selling is just so, so good that you absolutely don't offer guarantees. So you better want it if you're going to buy it. And so it also helps people when they're going to make a decision be really, really strong and confident in saying yes. And then our final guarantee type is called a performance guarantee. Now, this guarantee basically is conditional. So saying something like, if you complete X, Y, and Z and you still don't get the result, then we will give you your money back or something to that effect. This one is great for clients who are committed but potentially skeptical, which we spoke about at the start. So I call these people the smart ones because we want a healthy level of skepticism, but we also want clients who are committed and who are going to take action on the things that they need to do, especially in health, to actually get the result. It's also great for clients to have skin in the game as well, because they actually have to do something to then be able to get that guarantee. It's not just, I didn't feel like it, even though I did none of the things you told me to, I just don't feel like it anymore. So it's actually going to be great for clients who are going to show up and put in the work to get the result. And what often happens with a performance guarantee is because they want to get the result, these people tend to actually take more action and get better results because they know if they put in all the work and then they don't get the outcome, then that's on you to give them that guarantee that you offered at the start. What it is not so great for is uncommitted people, right? It's also, a performance guarantee is not great for people who want to see inside the program or the course or whatever you're offering, the service, without doing any of the work. So they kind of like want this sneak peek, or they want like a trial, but they don't have to do anything. It's not great for those people. It's also not great for people who don't want to put in effort or be held accountable. Now, those types of people to me seem like people that I'm not super keen on working with, and especially in a service-based industry, I think that it's important that we make sure that they have skin in the game just like we do, because if we're going to create an incredible program and we're going to onboard them and go through all this work and set them up, we want to make sure that they're committed to actually executing on what we have for them if we know and we're confident in being able to get them that result. Now, the challenge with the guarantee is you can't have a guarantee if you don't know what you're guaranteeing. So if you can't just say, like outside of satisfaction guarantee or an unconditional guarantee where you just say, oh, like if you just for whatever reason, or like if you don't like it, when you're going to have something like a performance guarantee, you need to know what the performance metrics are or what you're trying to achieve. So In health, it does become a little trickier, especially if you're working with different type of clientele and someone wants to lose 10 kilos and someone wants to get out of shoulder pain and things like that, right? Someone wants to squat 100 kilos for the first time, whatever it is. There's a lot of variety in this. And this is why I think so many health professionals do not use a performance guarantee. It's quite hard when you're thinking of it. It's not just this blanket thing. You actually have to put in like a little bit of work up front, but we're hopefully not immune to putting in work, knowing that business ownership is hard and takes effort. But when you do this, it pays off in spades. And I've seen this time and time again. So we need to get clear on the outcome that we're working towards. Now, you can absolutely put in a specific guarantee for every single person and say, yep, if you don't get 6 kilos of weight loss in 6 weeks after following my exact meal plan for a month and also doing the exact training protocol that I recommend, then I'll refund you or whatever it is. You can absolutely do it that way, or you could do maybe like a group offering or something specific to an outcome like that. But you could also make it a little bit more generalizable. Hoping that's a word. Generalizable, I believe, is a word. We're going to go with it. Generalizable to any client that you work with. So what I mean by this and what we use is a performance guarantee. And we say if you don't improve in your objective assessment by the 12-week mark. So we have clients who typically work with us anywhere between 6 months and 12 months as a starting point. And the reason why then this performance guarantee becomes so effective is because we know that people need to, like, it takes time for them to get results with us because they have pretty big goals. And also in terms of a performance guarantee, we want to make sure that, like, if we're working with someone for 12 weeks and they haven't gotten a result, then I don't think it's fair that we continue working with them and continue to ask them to pay us for something that's clearly not working, right? And the reason that we make it 12 weeks, I think theoretically we could probably make it 6 because we do 6-week programming blocks and we retest after every block. And so that's also how we measure it. So it's not if you feel like you're not getting results, we actually do like quantitative assessments and we see, like, does their strength improve, does their mobility improve, and then obviously we assess subjective things as well. But when we're looking at their testing improvements, we're saying, well, have you put in the work and have you improved in the metrics that we have? So that way we have clarity on that. And the reason that we do 12 weeks, not 6, is because I'm confident that most people will achieve it within 6 weeks. But we know that sometimes, especially with rehab in the space that we work in, it can go backwards before it goes forwards. And sometimes there are going to be some challenges and hiccups. So I am almost dead set certain that anyone we work with will get absolutely results within 12 weeks. And so if I was to change it to 6, maybe let's say 80% of people get a great result in 6 weeks, but 20% of people might stumble backwards a little bit before coming forwards. And so we want to make sure that our guarantee is going to get everyone to achieve the result that we're speaking about by the time frame that we have elected. So that is the reason that we do that. And so what we do is we don't actually, 12 weeks is obviously a long time period. Let's say someone doesn't get results in that. We don't actually say, we'll give you your money back if you don't get the results in that time, because obviously we've put in time and effort and energy into that as well. That's another reason why I think health professionals are a little nervous to implement a guarantee. What we say is we'll rip up the rest of your agreement. So let's say they agreed to work with us for 12 months. And they're 12 weeks in and they haven't gotten any result, or maybe it's gone backwards or whatever's happened, then we will, hand on heart, rip up their contract and we will make sure that they are getting sorted with another health professional who can get them results that we clearly aren't able to. And what that does is it helps us have accountability for their goals as well. It's not just putting the onus on the client, which I think is the challenge and what most health professionals end up doing. They kind of like do their thing and then they go, oh yeah, just go do this, but there's no accountability. And then there's also on the other side, like no accountability for the client. It's kind of like, oh, just do it or don't do it, whatever. But here's what I recommend. And then on the coaching side, it's kind of like, giving you a reason and greater accountability on your part too, because you want to ideally continue to keep working with that client long term. But if you're not getting them a result, then I don't think that we should be continuing to see those clients either. And I don't think that's fair to be taking someone's money when we're not getting a result with someone. But we obviously know that we do need time to actually achieve those results. So that's the performance guarantee that we have in place. And the reason why we have this is because we know that people need to follow a process. We know that they need to do the things that are required of them before they can determine whether they like it or whether they're getting that result or not. It can't just be, I did 1 or 2 sessions with rehab and being like, oh, it's not working. We know that oftentimes it takes longer than that, right? The performance guarantee also removes time wasters, people who kind of just want to try something out, not really put in the effort or not last the distance in terms of doing the time frame that we believe is required to actually get them the outcome that they want. And we also have this in place because we don't believe it's fair to tap out for our clients to tap out on themselves before they've even tried. And so we do need some sort of commitment for them to actually execute this and work through this so that they can get the result for themselves as well. It's also making sure that we are expecting results with effort, not without effort, because that's obviously unreasonable to go, oh yeah, like we're going to get you these results. You don't have to put any effort in, right? And we also teach the shit that works and that I do in my businesses. So the next question you're probably thinking is like, okay, but what if it doesn't work? What if someone does want to take me up on this offer? Just from the data that we have from the last 3 years that I've been using this, I have literally had 1 client that this has happened to. And I was like, you know what? You're right. We're not getting a result with you. We've tried lots of different things. We've changed the program. We're trying to do all these different things. I don't really know what's going on. I don't know why you're not getting a result, but you're absolutely right. We shouldn't be continuing this on. And we referred her on to another health professional to help her get the results that she needed. And through this time, we also, through rehab, we got her to get scans and do all these other things. And there was just a lot of complication going on. And it was basically something that we obviously couldn't figure out. And so I was like, you know what? Absolutely. I'm very happy to rip up your agreement and we can sort of part ways and I'll leave you with another professional that I think may be able to help you. So in terms of, we've seen hundreds, literally, if not thousands of clients in the last 3 years. So to have one person take us up on that obviously proves that, we are good at what we do. We are getting results with people, but it's also helped us have skin in the game to make sure that we're getting these results with people because we want to continue working with them long term, not on a session by session approach. The last thing in terms of guarantees is I think it's important when you're articulating it that you make it clear, not clever. So what I mean by this is we don't need to have like fun, fancy little alliteration and make all the words rhyme or anything like that, because the whole point of a guarantee is you want it to be crystal clear so that people understand what the guarantee actually is. It's not this like convoluted wordy thing that doesn't make sense. And therefore, if a guarantee isn't clear, then people are not likely to even see it as effective or want to take it up or take you up on the actual the program or the offer that you have in the first place, because they're a little bit confused about the guarantee, which makes them feel like maybe they won't be able to get that guarantee if those circumstances arise, right? So things that I would not say with a guarantee is, if you do everything I say, I would not say that. Then we will do whatever. Or like, if you do everything I say and it doesn't work, then we will, let's say, give you your money back. But like, what is everything? Is that like if you tell them they have to walk 10,000 steps and drink 4 liters of water and have these like super challenging supplement cycle every 2 hours? Like if they miss it one time, does that mean that you didn't do everything that was asked of you? So I find that's quite vague and broad. It's like, oh, just do everything that I say. It's like, okay, but like also when you told me to, I don't know, I did this exercise instead of that exercise because the gym machine was busy or whatever, makes it really hard. The other thing is saying, if you put in the work, like, yes, you want them to put in work, but like what work? So let's get clear on that. So something that I would potentially say instead is, if you complete your 3 workouts a week and you follow the meal plan for 12 weeks and you still don't get the results, that would be a really, really clear guarantee, because I know exactly what I need to do to get the result. And I know that if I do those things and I don't get the result, you're going to basically give me my money back or rip up my agreement or whatever the second part of that guarantee is. So I wanted to give you a couple of actual guarantees in terms of what you would do. So the first part we said was, if you complete 3 workouts a week and follow your meal plan for 12 weeks and still don't get the results, then you say, we guarantee you'll achieve whatever result it is, or, and these are the options, or you could refund them the money, which is the most common and like the easiest one to do, but not necessarily something I would recommend in health. You could say, or we'll refund you the money and pay for you to work with our competitor. Now, this one's quite compelling, because if you are ready to cough up your own money on top of what they've paid you to get them to go and work with someone who is a competitor, that shows that you have a lot of confidence in what you are doing and the results that you are getting. And I think that that does more for you in terms of getting clients across the line who are a bit nervous than you would ever be out of pocket for paying a competitor, especially if you know that and you're confident that you're good in what you do. And obviously the caveat to all of this is that you do need to know what you're doing. You do need to have confidence in that, and you need to make sure that what you're guaranteeing is actually something that you can deliver on. So that's why having those slightly longer timeframes than the standard person to achieve those results is really, really helpful. The other thing you could guarantee is you could say, or we will train you for free until you achieve that result. So that one's quite helpful as well for people who, they still want to get the result, but maybe they haven't got it by that time frame. So you train them for free until you get there. And then that's incentive for you to get them there in a shorter period of time as well, right? We said this one before, but you could rip up the remainder of their contract or their agreement. You could pay for another service or product without refunding your original one. So you could say, hey, if you're not working with us, like the first session you do with someone else, will pay for that. Or you could replace it or give them a new one. Obviously, this is more for products, but it could also be if you have more than one coach who works for you, you could swap out the coach that they're working with. So all different options for guarantees, and all things that I think are really, really helpful to get a great result with clients who are maybe a little nervous or on the fence about working with you. Adding a performance guarantee is absolutely hands down one of the easiest things once it is implemented, for you to basically like say in a couple of sentences and say like, this is what we offer and this is why we're so confident. And that couple of sentences alone will, I promise you, will get more people over the line, particularly those who are nervous, who still want to put in the work, who still want to get the result and have maybe been burnt before, or are struggling with knowing who to choose, or not feeling like they've been supported in the way that they wanted to in the past. The last thing I wanted to mention with a performance guarantee is, if someone's maybe still a little bit on the fence after mentioning it, what would you say? So I often try to pose the question of, okay, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And most people will come back to you and say, well, that it doesn't work. So they've wasted time, they've wasted money or effort, things like that, right? With a performance guarantee, you basically get 3 options. Option number 1 is that, so they sign up, they do it, they get the results, they love it, everyone's happy, right? Best option. Option 2 is they sign up, they don't get the results, but they've done everything that you asked them to do, and so they get the guarantee, right? And so even if in our scenario where it's 12 weeks and then we will rip up the agreement, they've still got a level of knowledge, they've still progressed, they've still tried different things, and they're on their way to understanding how this could be better for them. Obviously, it's going to be more powerful if it was a money back guarantee. But again, I think in health, that's going to be so much harder to utilize. And then the third option with a performance guarantee is you do nothing and you stay stuck. Now, the idea behind mentioning these 3 options is because option 1 and option 2, where they do it and they either get or don't get the results. So they get the results, they're happy, they don't ask for the guarantee. They don't get the results, then they get the guarantee. But option 3 is them literally doing nothing. They stay stuck, they don't try anything, and they're in the same position that they were before they started. So the whole point about mentioning this is that really the only risk for them in this scenario is option 3, where they do nothing and they stay stuck, because they're in the same position. They've wasted the time of not taking action, not making a decision. And so it's going to help move people who are a little bit on the fence into understanding, wow, like this performance guarantee is actually really beneficial to me if I'm willing to put in the work, because it's basically there's no lose situation where I don't either get my money back, or I don't, get more knowledge, or I get the result. Cool. So that's all I wanted to speak to you about today. And I think that adding that guarantee is super, super important. Before I had this in place, and when I was doing session by session, we would really struggle, or I rather would really struggle with having clients on board, keeping them on board, and then also holding myself accountable to their goals and their results and improving them as well. Because when you've got a full roster of clients and you're working through all these things, and you are actually charging session by session, there is no onus on you technically to actually get people results, other than you're likely a good person and a coach and you want to. But I think that having the additional incentive and kind of like a little bit of fire in your belly, or a greater reason to get them the results, because you want to continue training them, because it's easier to keep a client than it is to get a new one. I think that these guarantees are actually a win-win, not only for the potential clients that we're working with, but also for us, and to level up our own game as health professionals. So I hope this has helped you today, and I would love to hear from anyone who implements this, puts this in place, or if you have any questions about it, because I get that there's a little bit to sort of unpack here. And the reason why this also is going to work so well for you is because I don't know many other health professionals who are actually doing it. And so if you are different, if you are ahead of the curve, and you have something where you are committing to getting people results in an industry where no one else is committing or promising anything, then you are going to be a cut above. So good luck with this, and let me know how you go. Until next time, move swiftly. I have a tiny favor to ask of you, and that is to just hit that subscribe button if you have not done it yet. If you've made it this far, then I hope that this has been valuable for you, and for us to get more incredible guests in front of your earlobes and faces if you're watching us on YouTube. Then please do that now. And if you have any feedback or suggestions for me, or something that was a golden nugget that really stood out to you in this episode, I would absolutely love if you flicked me a message over on Instagram at Xenia Wood Official. Until next episode, and in whatever you do, move swiftly.